Hello, everyone. Ben Bryce, joined by Greg McBride to give you your midday mayhem. And what mayhem we're seeing, Greg. I mean, we've gotten some decent buying yesterday. We're seeing some follow through today. Not that typical, the saying turn around Tuesday. We're getting to some resistance points here. So what is igniting this market? What have we seen up here to give us some life?
Well, I think it's twofold. I think you saw a distinct change in the weather from Friday to Sunday when everything opened. You had some higher temperatures coming in. You had some drier weather out to the west. And even as we progressed, you've seen a little bit of drying patterns going into the eastern belt, even though that's still not an issue. The other part of it is the funds are just 10,000 contracts off their record short in corn. They made a new record short in beans. This could be some short covering. You see a little bit of volume picking up. That's a little bit of an indication. But I think overall, it wouldn't be outside of their thought process to take a little bit of profit, kind of set themselves up to, in case this heat or this dryness turns into something, that they say, okay, well, let's pause. And then once they feel like the forecast has come back in, they're starting to see the rain or they're starting to see things cool off, come in and hammer it again.
Right. And, over the next few weeks, we are going to start having crop tours and yield checks and all that good stuff out there. So if those yields aren't there, right, if people are out there in the fields and they're not seeing them, that's a fundamental reason for the funds to be buying it. Now, not necessarily something that you should get bulled up on, because we all know that they vary wildly whenever they go around, and you've got to take it with a grain of salt. But it does give you an indication of, are we going to have those record yields this year? Are we going to have above trend, by quite a bit? Because that was a rumor, towards the end of June, and now we're in July, and we've really hammered these markets. We went through those February lows for both corn and beans, and now you're kind of sitting there twirling your thumbs. Do we need to go lower, or price some of this in already?
Yeah, I've seen arguments on both sides for what we're going to do this fall as far as harvest goes. I've seen the argument that the USDA is 500 million bushels too high on corn carryout because of they are not taking into account the issues that Indiana and Ohio had planting. The Carolinas and the Southeast are having issues. The massive amounts of flooding that the Northeast has seen, not the Northeast, but the Northern Plains and the Upper Midwest has seen. Then I've seen others that are out there saying, this is 2014. We're going to $3.15. Right. It's the end of times. Honestly, the funds are lifting some short positions here. We saw them do this last year.
Right.
It got hot at the end of back half of pollination. We rallied for, I think it was 8 sessions.
Right.
And just about the time that everybody started saying that, because we've been dry.
Right, yeah.
We've been dry. So we go into it, and about the time that everybody starts getting bullish, they came in and slammed the door shut on us again.
Right.
And that's what I'm a little bit concerned about, because you mentioned the trend yields or even above trend, and I would have never thought 181 was possible last year, and then we saw a record yield off of hot and dry conditions. We've got very good conditions this year. I know there are problems out there. That's how it works, but I would not be surprised if we're not somewhere hunting for that 181 yield on corn. And 52 for beans doesn't feel like it's too far out of the range of possibilities.
And something that I've been talking to my customers and just other guys in the industry, it's, our yields, I'm kind of confused. I don't know where they're going to be. Right? I know I need to be making sales. I'm undersold, but I don't want to be selling if I don't have my yields there. And that's the trap that a lot of guys, and you mentioned this, right? Last year, it's hot and dry. We're going in, we're rallying hard. The yields aren't going to be around. And then lo and behold, you have record yields. So be careful when you're out there looking at your fields or looking at your current marketing plan and thinking that maybe you're oversold, or that because you don't have enough sold, that's where you want to be because you're not sure where your yields are. It can surprise you, and try not to get caught in that whirlwind, in that loophole that everyone got caught in last year, where the funds were looking strong. They dug themselves out of a short position and then slam it down going into the end of the year.
one of the other things to think about here this year, and we've talked about it before, is, the USDA keeps track of this. How much corn is still in ownership for the US farmer? And it's astronomical this year. And it's yes, it's coming down a little bit, but it's still way, way up there. I mean, so for half or somewhere around half of the corn from last year to still be in the farmer's hand at this time, and this is last year's corn, there's got to be space made for this new crop coming in, especially if we're going to have a good crop. I'm not saying anything about a record crop. If we're going to have just a good crop, there's got to be space made. And this is one of those things, and this is where, you're your own worst enemy. When that market does actually make a move, the American farmer can stop a rally just as quickly as the funds can. And it's not their fault. They have to make those sales. It's just everybody rushes for the door at the same time.
Right. And something to consider, we can only say so much on here, but you do have quite a bit of carry in these markets. So if you have a lot of grain on hand, look at some of the carry that we're seeing out in those March, May, July of next year contracts. The market is telling you to hang on to that grain. I know we just said you got to make room for it, but you do have the opportunity to, maybe if you're looking at cash prices, look down the road a little bit further and maybe lock in something out there if you're wanting to, trying to decide if you want to make sales now or delay for tax purposes. Look at the carry in the market. It's telling you that it may be worth to hang on to it a little bit for the cash side at least. So with that, Greg, thank you for joining us. Guys, we did release our conference, our summer conference, 6-month outlook that was released this morning. And we, like I just said, can only say so much on here when it comes to specifics and prices and strategies, but please give us a call or check out that conference. We're more than happy to talk to you guys. Greg, thank you for joining me. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good one.